it's a battle he should not be fighting in the first place because I am untamable. What? Hello and welcome to Season 7 of Fortnightly Frontier, your favorite Star Citizen podcast in diverse. I am your host, Darjanator. Over there is my good friend and co-host, Myre, for like 5th year running by this point. Or no, it shouldn't be. Fourth? Third?
Fourth.
Fourth?
Fourth.
Let's go fourth.
I'm not that old.
I am. Yes, it is Season 7 of Fortnightly Frontier, which means that Citizencon must have just happened, because I have decided that is how we will be delineating these things. But anyway, yes, Citizencon did happen, and I also decided, because this is my show, damn it, that this is going to be the topic of the day. So, Myre.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, that's it for the show. Thank you for coming.
So yeah, we're talking about Citizencon, and well, I guess we're talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, about the day, all that stuff. I came from London to Manchester. I think Darj came from Slovenia.
I did.
Yeah.
No luggage issues on the side of the airline this time around, which is good.
All right.
And I pointed out that on the side of the airline because, yeah, I brought a couple of bottles of Testahol and I learned that bubble wrap is not sufficient.
No.
One of them broke.
Yeah.
In my luggage.
I think you left it behind at the house, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We're not getting our deposit back.
The rules were very lax about that, and the place was very like, we could have a show dedicated just to the Airbnb where we were staying at, and it would be, would it actually be under Twitch terms of service?
I mean, there wouldn't have been anything to show.
That's true.
I mean, like,
just
we could have had an exorcism at that place. And then just pretend
it would have helped.
Just pretended, like all those stains were ectoplasm.
Oh God, it was quite the fun side of our stay at Citizencon.
Yes,
but yeah, the fun side was that we were both actually working at Citizencon, weren't we? We didn't go just as guests, as purveyors of wares. Wait, what? As fans, but yeah, just like the previous year, Myre was a bona fide volunteer for CIG. I actually got in through JRDF. I was their in-house photographer. Hopefully they're happy with my work. But that aside, the show itself, was it a good one this year, Myre, in your opinion?
I think overall it was really good. Yeah, like the main hall was amazing. It was huge, massive.
That screen.
That screen was disgusting. Yeah, like a massive LED. I think it was about 7K, like 7,000 pixels, and each pixel is an LED or something. 7,000 by 1080 or something like that.
Was it only 1080? Wow, all right. But yeah, it was disgustingly wide and prominent. I mean, I guess we could say this. Unlike last year, it didn't give him any issues. That everything when it came to production, the production side of the presentations was top notch and went off without a hitch.
Well, I suppose
maybe the clicker.
Yeah, I suppose that's because this year they had an in-house production team. Before it used to be all of CIG's back, and they like set things up themselves. Last year they tried with a company over in Austin called Blue Hole or something. Not Blue Hole, Blue something. And that went as well as it did. We're still waiting for the recordings and stuff from the some of those panels. I don't think we'll ever get to see. But this year they had LEP, which is a citizen-run like production company. We got to meet them for the first time at Citizencon, and Will, the CEO of the company, was like, "Hey, I want to do Citizencon," and
Mm.
he did the things that needed to be done, and he turned out an amazing, amazing convention.
LEP standing for London Event Productions, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they turned out a great
Yeah,
production.
did.
Yeah.
Everything went off without a hitch. 2 days of preparation beforehand, which I believe we were limited to by the venue itself, not by the production company or anybody else. And then 1 day of breaking, which was a hectic day. However, that is all ancillary to the actual event that I'm assuming everybody was, if not with us there, watching online. And do we have anything?
There was an event? Oh, right.
What?
You mean Citizencon's presentation. Yeah. So like,
Yes.
so yeah, there was several panels this time around. They had 2 stages, a main one and a secondary one. And they've actually for the first time started putting out those panels into YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 of those panels are already up, Locked Up and Ship Talk or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we have the first one, the keynote that's about to be playing up there in the top of the screen. And yeah, that's the one with Chris showing off some really cool things.
Yeah. One thing I appreciated that they did was that they broke it up into 2 pieces. So they had the first half as a teaser, and then the entirety of the show, and then they finished off the almost 12 hours of presentations with the final half, and it was a good one. Yes, it was a good one.
It was great, yeah.
I'm trying not to nerd out about the character. I think you can appreciate that.
So tell me more about the character. I hear that it made a surprise appearance at Citizencon.
Oh, surprise is a weird way of putting it, because I think just about everybody and their dog knew it would be making an appearance. But I think the surprise was just how in depth its involvement in the mechanics of the presentation was, because we got to see a jump point to Pyro.
We did indeed.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting them to come up to, the jump ring, and then it would fade to black, just like last year or 2 years ago, where with the Idris thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, overall, all the features they showed off were pretty awesome. They knocked it out of the park. With the flying through microtech, showing off the first bits of the temperature and exposure system, the dynamic cloth. The keynote was pretty sick. It was pretty cool. What was your favorite part about it?
Of the keynote or the entire event?
Of the keynote,
of the keynote. Just seeing the character, man. It was so good. It's not finished yet. We were told this, but it is, because it has been delayed until February. It's not going to be coming out in 3.8, which should be releasing soon this month.
Yeah, it's now December, so it's any week now. We'll hear that it's been put into Evocati. And then, oh wait, no, they've already put it out into Evocati.
They already had it up for a day, yes.
Yeah.
And
but
that's all we can say.
Right. I mean, people didn't know it was only up for a day.
Yes, exactly. Which is the reason why that's all we can say.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, it's up in Evocati at the moment, and in a couple weeks or so, yeah, they will be putting it out into live, and hopefully we'll be seeing most of the mechanics and stuff that we saw here in 3.8. 3.8 on the keynote. Yeah,
which is Microtech Planet V4, which includes the really nice first version of the weather effects and new visor tech. And what else? Pine trees everywhere. And here's a good one. And towards the end of the keynote, I'm sure we won't see the jump point, but the jump point itself was obscured, obfuscated by a very nice volumetric cloud. Do you think we'll have some of that? in 3.8 as well.
I don't think so. Where would they put them? Why would they put them? I don't think they will have the jump point there. I mean, or sorry, or I don't think they'll have the nebula there, just because there's no need for it to be there. Maybe they would do. Maybe that's where you'd have to go for a specific mission or something.
Maybe it's already there, but we can't get to it because there's no waypoint to quantum travel to.
Like you mentioned, that's a good point actually. Maybe like somebody could like find where the planet is and like fly, but the planet rotates, so I guess there's no way of knowing. But unless you use the star. Anyway. But like you made a good point about the jump point. I mean, like you think that you just couldn't see it because there was a nebula there, but I don't know. Like it didn't look like how the jump points look like in concept art or even in the star map. I think that the jump point just wasn't there. Either it didn't render or they...
What do you mean in the presentation?
In the presentation, yeah. The jump point wasn't there. It just wasn't.
Well, no.
There was a ring.
Yes,
and there was
they had
else.
to open it up, yeah.
Yeah. There was a ring, but nothing else. There was no physical...
I think the star map presentation of jump points is basically just not a placeholder, but, like a pin. Just a visualization of a jump point, even though you probably need to activate it, like they did in the keynote.
Right, but we do have concept art of the Carrack also like flying by a jump point, and it looks like some sort of black hole wormhole-esque thing. So so I mean, do you think it's just a case of like concept art not representing fully the final product, or do you think that maybe perhaps it's just not there yet for one reason or another?
It could be just that it's already been activated and it's flying into it, because after the rings were activated, you could see the sort of shimmering effect happening.
It opened a portal, but...
And then the ship moved into it, very much like in, say, The Expanse.
Yeah, but you'll be able to travel through jump points without using rings. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, the rings only stabilize jump points that are meant to be traveled a lot, so they stabilize them. Because jump points by themselves are inherently unstable, so they will change in size, change in position, but the rings anchor it in place, so you don't have to look for it every time, which a carrot can do.
Okay.
Did I just say carrot? No, I meant Carrack. A Carrack can do.
Introducing the Anvil Carrot, the only ship that can see in the dark.
Which is probably why it can detect jump points, because, as Comno just pointed out in chat, the lore says that they are not visible to the naked eye. So possibly it's like wormholes in Star Trek, like in Deep Space Nine, they had the wormhole next to Bajor.
Possibly.
So it's that is closed primarily, and then only when something flies through it, it opens up and spits it out or swallows it in.
Right. Yeah, possibly.
But whatever it is, I'm super glad that that this is already in, and it actually looks like the Chris Olivia concept video that we saw years ago. We could show that up. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't, if I remember. Anyway,
it's right there right now for people who are listening on SoundCloud and Spotify. Darj has put something onto the YouTube channel that you have to now go ahead and look at, because it's right there, and he has to do it because I've said that.
Oh goody, gumdrops! More editing for me, but yeah, it's amazing how similar it is to that. It features like these splitting off paths, and it would be very interesting to see what happens if you go down the wrong route, if you don't follow that little particle effect draft that you're supposed to follow to your destination.
Yeah.
or if you're just very bad at navigating and you fly into the wall, and then what happens? Do you just explode? Do you apparate in the middle between star systems? So basically, there's no help for you there.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Or is it basically just a like a very detailed loading screen, and it basically, what happens in the background is everything just disappears, and then Pyro appears, starts popping in, and you're not actually moving anywhere. Basically your ship stays in place, but
I think what happens is that maybe there are 3 maps or something. You'd have the Stanton map. You go into the jump point. You then OCS will then cull everything behind you, put you into this into the wormhole, and then once it's finished loading the pyro system, then it'll pop you out of that into the pyro system, and that jobs are good. And I think that's how it's going to work. An interesting thing that they mentioned about the wormholes, the jump points, and how it's going to prevent people ganking and stuff, is that even though you have certain jump points that have those rings on them that you can go through for a more stabilized journey, people can obviously camp that and stop people from going through. You can, however, go to the other side of the jump point and use that. Also, when you enter a jump point, you don't come out of one of those holes all the time or whatever. Did they in the demo? Maybe they did.
In the demo they did, because both sides of the jump point are stabilized, but that is, I believe that is not the
End
par
goal.
for the course.
Yeah.
For most of the jump points. So like I said, an unstabilized jump point will change position, it will change size, it'll change in difficulty level. I think primarily they throughout their lifetime they shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, and then just fade away, and then you'll have to find a new one to use, and then that one fades away, and then you have to again find a new one to connect two different systems.
How often do you think that's going to be, having to find a jump point? I mean, obviously you're not a dev or anything, but how long do you think it would be? I mean, stars last billions of years. What about jump points?
That is true, yeah. Well, if they want to make it fairly lucrative to know the position of a new jump point, it will have to be around for that information to be useful to people, and 2, it would have to be frequent enough that is a viable mechanic to make money off of.
Right.
So, that's actually a good question. Maybe week, 2 weeks, couple of weeks, maybe.
Weeks.
A month. Yeah.
If that's the case, then I don't think weeks. I think maybe either months, half a year, maybe 1 year. Because there's so much lore that's based upon having those jump points the way that we know them already. But maybe the large ones are always going to be there and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. If you find a small one that only small ships can go through, yeah, then that one will be that one would fade away very quickly. But big ones should be around for months, if you're not years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially if they're stabilized,
Oh yeah, well yes, stabilized jump points I don't think will be going away just because they are stabilized. But backdoor entrances to systems, those would be potentially very lucrative to shipping companies or pirates or whoever.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. But I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, did I ask you what the bad of this keynote? What was the thing you liked the least?
The apparent breakdown of communication during the presentation between Chris and what's his name, Glenn. Not following instructions, even though apparently during the test runs everything went peachy smooth.
Wait,
is that the phrase?
Glenn not following instructions?
Well, well, he was not looking the correct way and looking at the window to show off the weather effects and stuff like that.
I think either Glenn forgot, which I don't know if that's possible,
It's
or if
it's very possible because they're very stressed. They have to, use a very buggy build of the game, avoiding all the bugs that they know there are in there, just to make it to the end of the presentation. I'm sure everybody was under a lot of stress, especially with tens of thousands of people watching them. That's
can't relate.
all right.
But yeah, I mean, like,
It
yeah,
could have gone better. It definitely wasn't a Red One situation, but production value was great. They started on time. They ended a bit late just because some of the presentations just took a bit longer, especially Tony's. Tony's presentation about the quanta system for NPC driven economy. That was amazing. He was told a couple of times to hurry up, or just end the presentation, and he asked the audience, should we continue or should we wrap it up? And just everybody was going, yeah, no, go, continue, and it just went on for another 20 minutes to finish his talk on
I'm sure Chris
pace.
appreciated that, though, to be honest, because there was like 15-20 minutes afterwards until Chris actually went on the stage, and you could see that the CMs were kind of like trying to fill for dead air. So yeah, I think he could have gone on for another 15-20 minutes if he really wanted to.
Was there anything really bad?
Well, I mean, for me, with the main keynote, it was equal parts bad and a godsend when FOIP broke.
Oh,
when FOIP broke, and they they were okay. Well, let's just power through playing the game and showing it off. Because yes, while Chris wanted to show off FOIP because FOIP is awesome and it's going to allow for some really, really cool things in the game, the QA staff are A, not actors, and they are B, very stressed, as you said. So it just ends up being flat and cringy. So thankfully it was broken and it didn't work.
It did come back later.
Yeah.
As soon as he was down at the New Babbage spaceport and meeting his contact for the ID card.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The ID card and the code that was already working.
You see, that's the one part of this entire thing that I felt was like, that's like rushed. That's like I don't know what the word I want to you can maybe help me, but they were like, okay, we're gonna show you a mission with Microtech where you have to do this, do that, get the code, get the key, go in, take the thing, and you go to Microtech, and there's a guy who's like, your code and key are here, sir. Continue with the mission. There was no
very hand holding.
Yeah.
But I can see a mission like that being quite complex.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure the delivery of both the key and the code wouldn't have happened in such a public place. But New Babbage interiors aren't ready yet, so he couldn't have taken the transit into New Babbage and gone to like a shady contact where he would have been given all the stuff he needed for the mission.
Yeah.
And then gone back.
Yeah.
Which is why I imagine would happen in the final version of the mission.
Yeah. I mean, like, even though it was scripted this time around, as you say, I mean, like, they could have made it so that it was a bit more, I don't know, immersive. Because even though this entire presentation is a scripted demo of what could be, I could still see it being plausible for them to do, the things that they did here, even with somebody else grabbing the code and key for him. It could have, we have counter missions now. Could have been a co-mission where somebody has a time limit where they have to get a code and key to this thing by a certain amount of time so that somebody else can continue with their mission.
A simple thing would have also been, just walking by somebody, they drop a suitcase and they have to pick it up, and then you take it into the bathroom and you put the code on, you get the key card out, and then you emerge from the bathroom in your disguise.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing it out in the open.
The only thing about having to rely on other players that like, aren't in your party or whatever is that they can be super slow, they can be on their own time, you know what I mean? Or they could just troll by grabbing the mission and not doing it.
That actually, now that you mention it, So you think that would be like a multi-tiered mission? So one person's job is to go to the shady person, grab maybe go to Tisha,
Yeah.
and grab the code and the key,
Yeah.
and then meet you at Microtech and give you that. And your job is to then put on the code and get the key and go into.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or are you meeting an NPC?
Well, right there, that was a player, obviously.
That was obviously
Yeah.
a player, but as the NPCs are still nowhere near good enough to be given such roles.
Yeah.
And the spoiler alert: the guards that he was avoiding in the server room for the final bit of the mission, nothing would have happened if a guard saw him, because the guard was just walking backwards and forward. They had no player detection or anything. It was basically just there for ambience.
Yeah.
And it was a bit hammed up.
The entire mission part was proof of concept, obviously, but I think it was just there to frame everything else and frame the tech. And the tech is pretty cool. I especially like this new thing with the radar where you can't see it because only I can, but people in watching the stream can see, and watching the video later can see that just before things enter radio range, they show up as giant green question marks, and then they ping as what they're supposed to be. Like,
I remember that. Yeah. So when a new contact is detected first, the system doesn't know yet what it is until it gets some information about it.
Yeah, which is kind of neat.
Is that like a new version of, or is it basically just a new UI for the existing version of the radar, do you think?
I think it's just an additional step to what already exists in our current radar. Oh, speaking of the HUD, something that I really love again is the drop shadow that they've added to the HUD.
Yes.
Only took a year.
To almost all the elements of the HUD, yes. The ship HUD, the visor HUD, all of those things have drop shadows. Apart from the atmospheric flight stuff, what is it called? The altitude ladder or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
The ladder thing, yeah. That was always seemed like it was a different part of a different UI instead of the one that's displayed in the ship, and that one,
yeah.
Still very difficult to see. But yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Drop shadows.
Almost there. Maybe in a few more years, I'll add drop shadows to the other things as well.
A few more years, yeah.
Yeah, so
what's showing now? I can't see. Tell me about it.
So right now,
Describe it to me.
Right now, Glenn and Sam are landing on Microtech. They're flying past the main building and over the tranquil, wooded, frosty air, frost forest.
Sam stayed in space.
Well, Glenn and himself.
Just Glenn.
Yes.
Glenn himself.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess this is the perfect opportunity for us to talk about the new V4 version of Planet Tech.
Oh yeah, Planet V4.
Which was also a panel that they had, which hopefully will be released soon.
Oh yeah, it's not out, is it?
Nope.
No. Looking forward to it. Hopefully within this week it'll be out. It might even come out in the next couple hours. But looking forward to that one. I mean, so Planet V4, for those who don't know, essentially is the next step in making planets more complex. With the big key thing being that right now with Star Citizen, with Planet V3, planets exist as several levels of detail. The further out you get, the less detailed the planet goes. And sometimes what you see from really far out in space isn't exactly one-to-one with what you see when you're down planet side. So one of the big features with PlanetSide V4 is that things in space, when you look at them from space, the tiniest little detail will be exactly what you would see one-to-one when you get down there in the bottom. So that's like the big key, like sell point.
That is one of the huge benefits of it, yes. And the other one is more natural looking distribution of biomes instead of having this grid like thing. So now with mind-blowing reasons, they use temperature and humidity graph for distribution of biomes. So every point on the moon or planet surface has temperature and humidity set to it, and that will then dictate what biome it's in. And then because it's sort of a fuzzy map, it's not it's not noisy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has soft transitions that creates much more natural transitions between one biome to another. From space, it looks like a sharp cutoff, but you get closer to it, that turns into a nice little gradient with unique patterns, and it's a thing of beauty,
Right.
And it's technologically to go for such a thing. It's mind blowing, as I said. No, I don't think anybody's ever done this before when it comes to map generation for a video game.
Yeah, and another thing they mentioned in terms of making things more realistic is that they mentioned that the propagation of things like trees and rocks are informed by the terrain, which means that like if the terrain's like super rocky and you have like a mountain, there'll be a cutoff point where you won't get any more trees. Whereas before it was like blocks of like essentially like patterns that that the seed was making for the biomes and stuff.
Yeah,
and yeah.
So just also natural looking, and I can't wait to drive, not just fly, just also drive there.
So do you think that weather, as they showed, is going to be in 3.8?
3.8. Weather, they said, is also driven by those weather, the humidity and the temperature, the data that they spec for it. So it should weather should exist already for it, but whether they'll turn it on, that is a good question. Will they have the technology far enough and stable enough for that point? Is it slated? Is it for the roadmap? Is it slated for 3.8 in the roadmap?
It's not a card on the roadmap. No,
it's not a card on the roadmap.
No.
So whether it's part of Planet's V4, we'll just have to see. But the weather effects looked amazing.
Yeah, they did.
Even though there's still no volumetric fog and clouds, but the actual effects of it were amazing.
Wind entity effects were in the demo as well, where like the storm was blowing the trees and they were like, they were billowing in the wind. And it also looked like, even though the tarp was like, should have been blown maybe harder, the tarp was being moved by the wind. But then again, I guess we don't know what kind of atmosphere Microtech has. It could be like Mars, where like even though like the winds are super super harsh sometimes, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would move things.
Even though it's really cold in most of the places in Microtech, it is an almost Earth-like atmosphere. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to walk from the spaceport to the Valkyrie without a spacesuit.
That's a fair
point. Out of the research facility towards where his environment suit was stashed without one eye as well. Yeah,
that's a fair point.
Even though it was minus 120 degrees, which that's a bit low.
Yeah, it's a bit low.
Yeah, it's a point where moisture on your skin instantly freezes. So
not instantly.
Not instantly,
but
very, 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 very quickly. Yeah. I mean, maybe minus 60 would have been a more reasonable number. because those temperatures have already been recorded and experienced on Earth.
Yeah.
And they still, it's fucking cold.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess we'll see. I mean, again, it's still early doors. Will they keep the temperatures the same way? I imagine that the temperatures are informed by that one guy who came, like the astronomer, not the astronomer, the planets dude that the Lord people sat down and talked with. That they gave him all the information and taught them things like what stars are and whatnot and that thing. You know, that guy, it's not astronomer, it's astrologist. There we go. They had an astrologist that,
Really?
yeah.
Someone who does the zodiac?
Then it's astronomer. The one that's not the thing with the burst signs. They got one of those in, and they talked to him.
Astronomer.
Yes,
it would be an astronomer.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Your face didn't register like when I said astronomer the first time.
I thought you were actually looking for a specific person. I had no idea what their name was, so I couldn't help you. But yes, it would be an astronomer.
Yeah, and even though, like, minus 120, it wasn't Celsius, but even if minus 120 Celsius is like stupid cold, I mean, it did give you a life expectancy. It said like
4 minutes. Yeah,
but 4 minutes for that kind of cold, I don't know. Maybe you
but
could.
But it was minus 120 wind chill. Not wind chill, but perceived temperature.
Yes,
I think that was mentioned several times.
Yeah.
So even though it could have been a lot warmer, the fact that he was walking through a blizzard would have exacerbated that. Although it was still minus 100 when he just walked out of the spaceport towards the Valkyrie.
That's true, but again, perceived.
Perceived, yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. It might just be that either they'll make Microtech a tiny bit warmer, or they'll just make it so it's even more deadly.
Yeah, because I've seen pictures of people going out in minus 40 and they're caked in ice in minutes, just because the moisture coming out of their skin and out of their their breath is solidifying, as it leaves their body. So yes. Maybe 100 minus 120 was just a bit too low.
I mean, after about a minute or two of him walking from like this is later on and not now for those who are watching or following along with the video of Tom. But like I might even skip ahead a tiny bit. But like anyway, after like 2 minutes or 3 minutes with like maybe 2 minutes left of his survival timer, his hands started, like, the shader started going from like normal to like bluish black. So one thing that I feel like maybe they should add with the whole survival thing is that if, you may have 2 minutes left to live, but I don't think you should be able to come back from that without like a Medipen to like hand wave all the damage that's gone through,
So you think they already have procedural frostbite in?
It is in, yeah. The shaders are in, at least anyway. But yeah, I think a Medipen is in order just to hand wave all that damage.
I guess, yeah.
Because like there's no hypothermia, there's no hypothermia either.
Hyperthermia?
Hyper would be in heat, hypo would be in cold.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe that's what we're getting in Daymar in V4.
Maybe,
because it's supposed to be a very it's a hazy planet, so there's a lot of heat generated.
Yeah. Well, they did mention that with all this, they can now start to differentiate some of the armor we already have in the game. So some will be more hot and cold protective than others. Maybe some will be more radiation protecting. So I guess it means that things like the microid suit, like the Sand Nomad suit that we have, will be more heat resistant than stuff than other things for like use on Daymar. So you might end up seeing more guys like that depending on where you go.
Did you check out the armor archetype panel with Jay Lee?
I wasn't able to. I'm looking forward to that panel. It's one of
I believe that is the panel where they discussed those things at length, and also it was the first one where they showcased the new visor effect, so like water droplets on the glass and stuff like that. I did walk in just as something happened. So I believe with that particular video, they may have a few technical difficulties getting it out, but I'm sure they'll be able to sort it out because the information there, it was very interesting.
Right.
And another one thing I can confirm is helmets will be one of the first things that will be part of the physicalized inventory. So you have to take them off and have to carry them with you if you don't want to have them on your head.
That's awesome. I wonder when we're going to finally get the whole physical inventory thing, because I think it's going to really, really change the way people play the game. Like, because right now you play the game and you just have everything at your fingertips and you can change.
Except the thing you're holding in your hand. If you die, you lose that.
True. You do lose that, but you also have like a whole like what's that thing in the Matrix called? You have one of those like in your butt crack. So it doesn't matter if you like die and you lose one. You can always pull like 1,000 more guns if you own them.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas once they get physical inventory in, you can have as many as your armor dictates. So like you can only have like 2 guns if you have like heavy armor. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that and having to use the lockers in your ships in order to like actually get those things to work.
Yeah, but they will also have to balance it out with ship claiming. Because when you claim a ship, you lose everything on the lockers, don't you? So if you stash everything you have in the lockers and then you lose your ship due to a bug, I'm not saying that it's going to be if it's your fault, if you got into a gunfight and died, fair. Lost everything.
Yeah.
But if you lose it to a bug and then you lose like, I don't know, 50,000 alpha UEC worth of armor and weapons, that's gonna hurt a bit.
That's fair enough. I mean, like the same could be said about cargo right now, but you gotta start somewhere. Otherwise, you're not gonna get any progress. But I agree. It's something that maybe they want to have to wait until crashes get a little less crashy.
Was that a part of Citizencon, or was it part of Star Citizen Live or Inside Star Citizen beforehand, where they announced a technology that sort of decouples some things in the back end? So I don't know what it was. Help me out, chat. But it makes it so that we'll be seeing a lot fewer 30Ks.
Right. Okay. I don't know. I've not heard that
Could have
one.
been monthly report.
Okay.
There's just so much info, it's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
Even though I tried with my little spreadsheet, but that only tracks so many things, but not everything.
Not everything.
But yeah, I think it was actually in the monthly report.
Right.
Yeah. So go check that out. It's very interesting, and hopefully will make quality of life while you're playing Star Citizen a bit nicer.
Yeah. So
how did we get here? On this tangent.
How did we get what?
On this tangent.
Who? We're talking about.
Who are you?
Talking about features.
How did I get here?
So yeah, that was the keynote. Anyway, we're gonna keep letting it run as we talk about other things, though.
All right.
So
we were talking about armor, physicalized inventory.
Yeah. So that was the good and the bad of the keynote and the features that are coming with it. At least some of them, anyway. But like, what was your favorite panel? Like overall?
Overall?
Yeah.
I think it was the Planet V4 stuff.
Okay.
Because for a change, we actually did some preparation for the show for a couple of the talking points, and the favorite panel was one of them. And I was thinking about it. It was down to Tony's Zurovec's Quanta.
Quanta is plural.
Quanta is plural, yes. So Quantum is the name. Quantum is a single AI entity that is part of the larger whole. And the other one was the Planet V Vortex. And I'm a sucker for shiny things. That's all I'm going to say. So as much as I appreciate Tony's humongous effort and work that went into the simulation that's going to govern how the game is the economy plays out and how it generates missions and just creates and controls supply and demand for the most part, because that's always been a thing. Players should not have the power to disrupt the economy in Star Citizen like they do in Eve, for instance.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean that was actually one of the talking points, or pillars that they said they always wanted to go for that.
Yeah.
Which is why it's always going to be 9 NPCs to 1 player, so that balance never tips, or let's say doesn't easily tip into
the hands of the player.
Into the hands of the players. If there is one genius entrepreneur, say like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, who just knows how to play the system, I think they should be able to allow that, to get one player to become a huge industrialist that owns almost all the money in the verse,
right?
Becomes the next Hurston.
I think historically, games companies haven't allowed people to do that. Like World of Warcraft had their auction house, and they were outright banning people for months who were too smart for their system. But I guess Star Citizen is different, and perhaps maybe they might do it differently as well as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I prefer the Planet V4 panel just because of, I would say, an almost similar amount of ingenuity and hard work that went into creating tools for an almost natural way of creating planets.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about Tony Z's thing, economy, is that Chris Roberts actually made a video in about 2013 talking about how he wanted economy to work, and it was basically a simplified version of what Tony Z has made. And it works exactly how he, at least in this format that Tony showed us from the back end, it looks exactly like how he envisioned it. So I'm really excited for that. They're finally putting into motion some of the more abstract things that they promised like way back in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just we just have to keep ourselves reminded, and we have to keep reminding other people that Star Citizen development is on the cutting edge, and that takes time. You can't just take other people's code and kid bash your game like a lot of games these days are.
Yeah.
They are not making a game, they are developing it. Yeah.
That's true.
What was your favorite panel?
So because I was volunteering and all that, I didn't really get to see that many panels. I've kind of been watching them after the fact. I would say that my favorite panel that I've seen now that we're back has to be the prison gameplay one. I still haven't seen them all, but for now, the Tony Z one was really cool, obviously, but it's a back end thing. I want to see it working. It's cool to see all the data points moving as if it was like real, and it probably was, who knows, but I want to see it working and affecting the game, the player. But it was cool to see as a concept. I think that
I don't think we'll actually see the quantum tool affecting players, just because it's meant to inform the backend.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be like an interaction tool that you can use to monitor players, to monitor shipping lanes and stuff like that. It's meant to it monitors us, and then it creates not environments, but it adjusts the situations in existing environments. I believe that is the key point to the tool. So it does it on the fly. It does it automatically. It does not have to rely on developers to do those calculations and then hard code the new what's the word? Not situation. Well, let's go with situation. Like the parameters, like the new situational parameters for it. It just does it on the fly on its own.
Yeah.
Just kind of scary. But I guess it'll still be driven by Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe. So he will tell, or Chris will tell him, okay, so what to look out for if so as to not create any sort of runaway situations in the economy.
Yeah. So we got a question in chat regarding the economy real quick, and I think there's a bit of confusion about like how Tony Z's economy is going to work. The question is from Kirian, who asks, wasn't it a way to inform the probability volumes of what is there whenever a player enters the volume? And this is in regard to like how the system is going to work. That's not quite it. So at the beginning of Tony Z's panel, he talks about how things currently work and why they're not so great. And he actually, at the end of it, basically says the probability volumes are not are not great for their end goal, because you can't edit a probability volume. Once you put it in there, it's hard baked, and you can't, like, it's not dynamic. And then he then goes, we made a dynamic system instead.
Well, it kinda. They're still going to be using probability volumes, but their current system of adjusting those probabilities is pedestrian and has to be done by hand, and there is keeping track of all the external factors that would affect the probability volume is almost impossible, even on a single system scale, for a human to keep track of, which is why they created Quantum, that tracks everything and adjusts probability volumes on its own every once in a while. I think was the final during his final thoughts was that it's not constantly changing. It changes once in a while. But that's still enough, because ultimately, after those parameters are adjusted, it's still down to a probability that something will happen when you're flying through that volume.
Right.
So it's not what Quantum does when it adjusts everything. It just adjusts the probability. It doesn't adjust. It doesn't say, a pirate is going to attack this freighter now. It's just going to adjust the probability that that's going to happen. And then another piece of logic decides whether that does happen or not based on that probability.
So the way I understood from the video was different in that case, because what you're describing is how the old system works and technically how it works right now. But with Quantum, you have each individual NPC is represented as this tiny blip, and they're dynamically moving, and they're creating events on the fly, dynamically. So like those like old volume spaces where like in this area there is this amount of stuff, there will be this amount of pirates, and there's this chance, the probability for things to happen is gone. I'll probably have to rewatch it again, but that's not what I understood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, possibly, yeah, because yes, you're right. Yeah, an NPC getting in combat with a pirate would then create a mission, but that is an actual mission. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just a probability that a mission would turn up. Yeah, you're right. So it's possible that it is actually like all of it is being simulated at once. Yeah, but only once, possibly, that you get close enough to interact with a Quantum, do they turn it into an NPC, like a physicalized, virtualized NPC.
That's what I thought. But again,
so if that's the case, it's even better than I thought. So I have to maybe possibly change my opinion about which panel I like the most.
Because like when he like showed the quanta like spawning and like going through the verse, he was like, each one, has its own like traits. They have their own everything else. And so if they're all moving around essentially like, little mini sims doing whatever they're doing, going from different things and creating missions as they interact with each other based on probabilities, that's maybe probability volume still exist there. They probably do. They do, right? But in a more nuanced and dynamic way, where rather than one
we need to watch that one again. So, yeah. I know. I think I'll wait for them to release it on YouTube. Yeah, just because going through Twitch VODs is a bit of a pain, especially because YouTube is a better system for watching videos on demand than Twitch.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you have any honorable mentions about the event?
Honorable mentions, as in like panels, as in like things that happened.
How about things that happened? Like, I don't think a lot of it was featured on video, but the bazaar was amazing.
Oh, the marketplace was great. Yeah, the marketplace was amazing.
Yeah, I have a couple of photos that I should have created a slideshow to be showcased up there right now. But yes, it was, I think, 10 or 11 booths were created, mostly by the community, but also some by CIG. Britton Watkins was there, the xenolinguist, and they also had Kasaba for their merch. They had another one of those UEE enlistment booths, and then they had the community booths, which were Game Glass and JRDF had their Kovalex things there. Test Squadron was there, and ADI and a bunch of others. One booth had a scale 3D printed model of the Javelin.
They did,
and I asked them, it took them 150 print days to make. They started it before last year's Citizencon.
That's ridiculous. And
it is ridiculous. The amount of effort and love that went into that is amazing to watch, to see all that through, and then to get it to Citizencon, to an event like that. It was amazing. I don't even know what they were doing there, what they were selling. Was it their org? Was it their 3D printing services or what? But yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's the services, 150 days for a product is a bit much, but
it was
it was sweet. It was really sweet. Yeah.
I may put a couple of photos into to up there, overriding what Myre is playing right now. Are you playing anything? I can't see.
Where
am I?
It's just it's Glenn walking through the snow in the Enviro suit.
Yes. That part wasn't really new. The whole vaulting and mantling thing, we already have that in caves, and other chest high walls. You can also do that too.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get the sort of snow and mud effects that the best games right now are showcasing, like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Possibly.
I'm guessing it's a lot easier for Red Dead Redemption 2 to do it because it is a very tiny map in comparison to even the smallest moon in Star Citizen.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest hurdle there would be that, like, once the player walks through the snow or whatever, the server has to remember it because another player might show up there.
Yeah, it's easier to do in a single player game. And I don't even know, do the tracks remain in Red Dead Redemption 2, or do they slowly fade away?
If they do remain, they probably fade like most games, but I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we do have footsteps right now, and that's all we're getting for a while, I'd say.
Yep.
Their Ursa rover seemed different.
It
It was a
did.
different color.
Different colors, and also the wheel suspension was different, but it still said Ursa in the back. So,
It's the Ursa in the back. Yeah, I love the way the snow accumulation showed on it.
yeah.
It was all frozen and everything.
That's an interesting feature, actually, that I think we completely missed until you just brought it up. Oh yeah, that like within the cold environments, like things frost over, and
Mhm.
yeah, so like with suits, like for instance, the suit in the box was super cold. He was super chilly putting it on. He had to wait for it to heat up before he could like actually move around because he was still really cold. It was like getting inside a cold car in the middle of like winter.
Mhm.
And with this vehicle he's going to go into in a second, he gets inside, he turns it on, and it's only after the vehicle's been on for a bit and the shields are on that the snow starts to melt. But it made me think, what about weapons? Because unlike ships and unlike the suit, weapons don't just generate heat from being armed. And so if a weapon is like
M-
got frost on it,
laser ones possibly could
maybe
because yeah, but I can see like a ballistic weapon would warm up with fire, with sustained fire.
but if it, I mean, like, you can't use a graphite pencil below like what is it, like 20 degrees Celsius or something. I think that there's a minimum operating temperature for guns as well. And if you can't fire that
Mm,
first shot to warm up the gun, then maybe you can't use ballistics in snow. And so
yeah.
you'd have to think.
The primary reason for that is that metals shrink when it gets really cold. So
Mm,
you rely on certain tolerances for ballistic weapons to fire, and when it gets really 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 cold, those tolerances are no longer there, and guns will jam
yeah.
because the barrel will shrink around the bullet, and then the bullet does not have room to escape.
So perhaps
So,
it's another consideration, like if you want
oh
to go to
yeah,
Microtech, take,
you need energy weapons.
yeah,
Mm.
guess it makes sense. And
Yeah, it does. It does actually. Yeah, maybe. Uh,
look at me making sense.
or pure melee.
Mm,
We're getting melee
that's
in
true.
3.8. And Glenn showed off some superhuman powers when he knocked that guy over and he just flew across the room, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Remember?
I can't wait for melee. Is it melee, melee, Malay, Malays? What is it?
Um,
Malaysia?
MEL with a sharpening and then E. It's a French word and I don't really speak French. I think it's melee.
Okay, malaria. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's coming in, and I'm looking forward to seeing and being able to talk about how it works.
Yeah, 3.8 should 3.8 should release before the holiday season. That is the current plan, primarily so they have time to fix the biggest bugs that come up before they leave for holidays. So they
Right.
don't, just release a very broken patch onto the public and then there's no one around to fix anything.
Yeah. Worst Christmas ever. Can't load into Star
Yeah.
Citizen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, could be just a couple of weeks until we see 3.8 in its first version, at least in the PTU.
Mm. But there's going to be a lot to see. It's a very, very heavy patch. One of the heaviest we've seen in a while.
Yeah. But we say that about every patch.
That's true, but this is even
before the
heavier.
patch comes out, everybody's complaining about how everything was delayed, everything was moved on to other patches. But just as the patch releases, it's like best patch ever.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but this is a heavy patch. I mean, we were hyped for Lorville before it came out, but like realistically, we were hyped to use the train. That was about it.
is our prisons coming in 3.8?
Oh yeah, prison gameplay. Did I talk about prison gameplay?
You mentioned that it was your favorite panel.
Yeah, like Luke Presley did a really good job talking about
He
that.
did.
Yeah, like and I do love the idea of like having gameplay loops for that sort of demographic thought about now, you know?
Hmm.
And I did like the fact that he was like, oh yeah, there might be certain missions out in the verse that you would not be able to do until you've actually served time in prison and like gained some reputation too. There answers your question, by the way. If you can fit a what's that bike in the back there with
The
yeah,
Ranger.
you might be able to. There was like a meter or so clearance behind the Ursa and like half a meter in front.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's gonna be my go-to thing. I think for delivery missions. I have the I don't know what the name of it is, but I have the one that you can put 3 boxes in the back. So
Yeah.
yes, landing one of those. Oh my god! I just realized it possibly even fits in the Pisces.
Oh, the Pisces is a good boy.
Yeah, Pisces is a good boy.
But if
Yeah.
you fit it in the Pisces, you'd have to take the Pisces out of the Pisces hangar to then drive out, as opposed to
Yeah,
just opening the front and letting the bike drive out.
true, but the Carrack. How long did we last until we got back to the Carrack? It's I'm just looking at the timer, but an hour.
Yeah.
It's my intention for the Carrack, because Carrack is a big boy, is that taking it down to a planet surface will be done as infrequently as possible, especially because we'll be getting orbital stations now.
That's very true. Looking forward to that as well.
So land your or just park the Carrack at an orbital station in space and take out the Pisces and then take that down to the planet, especially if you have to deliver a box to one of the gates at Lorville.
Yeah, I'm hoping that those orbital stations have like large or even extra large pads, because reclaimers don't need to be down the planet side.
Nope. They'll have habs, so that's gonna with 3.7 brought with it very reliable bed logout. And if 3.8 also brings with it
hab logout,
a lot more hab locations to log out, or just to spawn in, even if you die and don't log out through your ship. That's going to make traversal a lot more easier in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
You just have to, whenever you reach a location, just to go to the orbital station first before you fly down to your destination. And Mad Mike, nah, Carrack's mine. He can have the 600i.
It's only like $25 to upgrade the 600i to a Carrack.
Yeah, but I already have one.
That's
true.
I mean,
I don't have. What you should do is upgrade the Explorer to the Touring, so we have
it's a downgrade.
Between the two of us. Is it downgrade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can't do that.
I think the Explorer is supposed to come with like a rover at some point.
It's supposed to come with an Origin Lynx rover. Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. Currently, you should have the Ursa with it.
I don't think I actually have an Ursa. No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah,
I do.
You do?
I got it as a loaner for the Ursa that comes with the Carrack. Yep.
Oh, well, for the Carrack, but the 600IE does not. I don't think. I'd have to reload the game and see.
Well, does it come with an Ursa, or does it just have room for an Ursa? Because we have put the Ursa into the 600i before.
It
fits perfectly.
We have. I don't think the 600IE comes with an Ursa, but it's supposed to come with a Lynx, so it should be giving you a Lynx.
Lynx.
Yeah, but it's supposed to give you an Ursa with it. I mean, like as a stand-in. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, no, but I was just saying, the Carrack is an exploration vessel. Between the two of us, we don't need two, do we?
True, but if I got a Carrack, then I would have a Pisces as well.
That is true. Pisces is a good boy. Yeah, it's very nice to fly.
Yeah,
actually, it shows how tiny it is in its flight model characteristics and handling, and yeah, it has room for 3 people and for SCU of cargo.
I think I'll stick with my 600 just in case, what we have now isn't even its final form, just so we can play around with it later. And if it appreciates in price, all the better.
It already did. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it went up from 400 to 500.
Well, it could be 6.
Sure.
Hmm.
But so, most of all, one last question, Myre, before we wrap things up.
Okay.
Did you have fun at Citizencon?
No.
Okay. Bye.
No, Citizencon was awesome. I had fun. It was a lot of work. I think I got like at least 180,000 steps in 2 days, or sorry, 3 days of like setting up
Yeah.
and moving around. It was disgusting, but I had fun. I had fun like meeting people, no matter how brief. It was good
Yeah.
to like not only just be there and see things as they were developing when you could, but also know that you were there and helping actively to make it all work. It was good. Also,
Yeah.
free ticket.
Also, a free ticket. Yes.
Although, I mean, like, you're working more than the ticket's worth, I feel. But
That's true. But this was my 5th Citizencon. So yeah, Manchester, LA, Frankfurt, Austin, Manchester. Yeah, 5th Citizencon, and 2nd while working in the background. And I think that so it was 3 attending as just a guest, as just a fan of, just a citizen. But my 2nd, as to see how it all works in the background, how it all unfolds, and all the hard work that went into it, and that I hope that the citizens of the stars appreciate, that everyone put into to make CitizenCon a smooth and fun and great experience that it was.
So, in closing, what would you like to see with Citizencon
Citizencon?
2950? Yeah.
2950.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
So,
Oh, my.
Let's recap. With 2949, the big ticket items for the keynote were Microtech and Pyro. There were lots of other things as well, like planets and Planet V4 and that kind of stuff. But the big ticket items were Carrick and jump points. What do you think is going to be the next big showcase item for next year?
I believe, considering the timing of it, the 2950 CitizenCon is going to be almost entirely Squadron 42 related.
Okay. So no big tickets, SC items at all?
No.
I think you were right.
Well, maybe 1 or 2, but that's the 2950 CitizenCon is going to be dangerously close to at least the beta release of Squadron 42. So,
Right.
And considering we had 0 information about Squadron 42 this time around, I believe they're gonna do the switcheroo and have primarily Squadron 42 stuff.
I agree.
Yeah. Also, Kieran just asking in chat, did I talk about Theaters of War? No, we didn't talk about Theaters of War. Sean Tracy is amazing. Theaters of War looks amazing. I didn't get to play it. I was too busy doing stuff. I was too busy wrapping elements of the main stage desk in gold when they were doing the main testing. So I didn't get try it out, so I have to wait until damn 3.8.
I was busy helping with stuff. I just realized I can't say anything. Goddamn it! But I didn't get to do it either.
That is one of the things about being a volunteer. Also, we're currently skirting quite close to what we can and what we can't say about what was happening backstage at CitizenCon.
Yeah. But no, I didn't get to see or play it. But I guess we could touch upon it real quick. Theaters of War looks really cool. It looks like with the focus on FPS and tying it all in as a combined arms package outside of Star Citizen to get everything working. So when you do get to play it in the main game, I think it's a great idea. It'll make sure that when things do happen in the PU, it's fun. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. And I think the biggest boon for the entire thing is going to be how it's going to, even though Star Citizen got to the top 50 games played on Twitch this week, it's going to create a huge injection of player base for it, because most of the fun is team play in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
But organizing it is
Hell.
a bastard.
Hell, it's just hell. You know?
It's just hell.
You can
actually making a Combined Arms game mode in Star Marine for 20v20 is going to make, I think, a lot more people, is going to get a lot more people to play Star Marine.
As long as it's
stream
optimized,
Star Marine.
Yeah.
As long as it's optimized, it runs well, yes. But I think that it's also going to boost viewership.
Right.
Because it'll be something new, something exciting, something fast-paced, proper combat gameplay that is going to be repeated over and over, reliably, instead of having to rely on herding cats in a sandbox.
Yeah. I can't wait for Theaters of War to become so popular that it actually becomes more popular than Star Citizen and starts to become Star Citizen's main cash cow, and they start to make it into a free-to-play game, and it becomes bigger than Fortnite. And what's Star Citizen again? That's my biggest fear. I think I had a nightmare the other day about
that would be that would be atrocious. I think Star Citizen broke 250 million in funding. There's going to be a slew of articles in quotation marks, on the internet, starting with tomorrow, I guess, about it, and going down those monetization routes is not a good thing for Star Citizen.
No.
I hope they agree. I hope they stay away from such things, and I hope they also stay away from such things for Squadron 42.
True. However, I feel like if Theaters of War does manage to get to such a state where there are more people every month playing that instead of Star Citizen or anything else, I think that it might be worth CIG taking that as impetus to maybe build another studio just to support it. If it becomes that popular, I think that it deserves to be supported, but supported on it as its own thing that doesn't take away from Star Citizen.
Sure, but it should still then inform, Star Citizen gameplay as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that
however, I do believe that if that happens, then we'll lose Sean Tracy in the PU.
Yeah.
Because Theaters of War is currently his baby, and he wouldn't want to drop it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything today. This is a good one.
It was a good one. Started a bit rambling.
A bit
me,
shaky.
I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you're always rambling.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. Yeah, we haven't actually had a show in a while. We were planning to have a couple of shows. We'll have a show before Citizencon, and then that fell through, and then a show on Sunday after Citizencon, and then fell through. So I'm glad we're back.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yes.
Myre.
So, thank you so much for watching this episode of Season 7, Episode 1 of the Fortnightly Frontier. I have been Myre, and over there has been my good friend, Mr. Darjanator. We will see you later. Thank you so much for watching on twitch.tv live and also on YouTube, and to our listeners on Spotify, SoundCloud, Podbean, and everywhere else. We appreciate you.
Are we on Podbean?
I don't know. I'm just saying words. And Siemens Kitchen Fridge. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Fucking fridges, right?